The purpose of this video is to review the whitelist script that I have created and to review each of those options so you understand what each of these options are for in the menu. As you can see, I've started this script. It comes up with a couple of options. First thing let's do is let's understand what we have with the jail.config for the IP, the whitelisting of your IP addresses. As we see currently on my system, line number 54 is a line of a bunch of IP addresses. So rather than manually updating this list and making mistakes, because it's all on one line and it's not very easy to look at, it's not very easy to manipulate, I've created this way to handle it through a script. So let's just start with number one here, generating registrations with a whitelist script. Well, that is an extra item, which is talking about the registrations inside your Fusion PBX. So this is saying I've got 2 total registrations, IP addresses, and 2 unique. Which, if you pull over, if you look at your Fusion PBX on the registrations page, you're going to have all sorts of registrations across many domains, and each of those you can have multiple IP addresses for one location. Most people are going to be under the same IP address at one office, and then another office is under another IP address. So what's going on here is I am creating a backup of the existing. So we have this, you have a backup, and then it creates a new registrations.txt file, and then it asks, do you want to add those to the to the ignore IP text file? So that's an additional file. So let's just say yes. Okay, now let's do something. Let's do the number 2. Let's work through that one. We can add some IP addresses. So let's just do something dumb. 1.1.1.1 space 1.1.2.1 1.1.3.1, and let's do a /32 on that, just to show you a couple of different things you can do. You want to have an IP address space, space separated, and then we have, of course, you can do the CIDR rules here. So I'm going to hit that. What's happened here is it's added these IP addresses to the ignore IP text file, and it reminds you to organize IP addresses, removing spaces, removing duplicates, and putting them in order with the organize, which is number 3. So let's just go look at number 3 here. 3, and it sorted them. It did all that work. It's just like, ta-da, it's done. Now let's hit number 4 and understand what we have. So we've added some new items here. As we remember just a moment ago, we added some new IP addresses. And there were a couple of items in my ignore IP that didn't exist before. 09 came from my registrations, this 2.2 was something I already had in my ignore IP. Now, if we don't like the way it looks, then we're going to hit no. And then let's go ahead and hit it again. Let's organize. Oh, excuse me. Let's number 4. There we go. Now we see the list again. We see there's a count of what is in this left side is actually the count of IP addresses, unique IP addresses in, well, it's the count of IP addresses in your jail.config, which we looked at in this top left-hand corner. When we looked at the jail.config, that's where these IP addresses are coming from on the left. The new side, new whitelist count, there's 13. That's in my ignore IP.txt file. Now this time, rather than hitting no, I'll hit yes. and then it tells us, it gives us some padding. Whenever you make a change, I am making a backup of the existing file first, the ignore IP text file, and then I'm saying here's what the size was. I'm adding some padding, just it's a percentage of discrepancy. Just give it a little bit of wiggle room, but I expect it to be roughly this size with the padding, extra padding of 100 bytes. And so that just ensures that it's going to fit within the frame, the size. So 23083 is my expected size with padding. So I've got an actual new file size of 23,027 bytes. And the file has been listed, whitelist in jail.config has been updated. And remember to restart the jail fail to ban when quitting. So I'm going to hit the 6 here, and it says, do you want to restart fail to ban on exit? I don't want to restart fail to ban every single time you make a change. I want to just do it on the exit. I'm going to hit number 2. Oops. And if you hit something incorrect, you keep getting the choice. So let's go back and give the correct choice. I've hit no. Let's run the whitelisting again. And this time let's hit number 5, which is adding a domain to, now that's not inside fail to ban, but that's in the IP tables, which is what we're currently using in Fusion PBX. And then, it's a legacy. It's being replaced. It has been replaced with NF tables or NS tables. I can't remember the name of it. But what we have here is you can just simply add to your IP address. So if I want amazing.com, let's just do that. Okay, so what has happened? Well, you see a little bit of a run on here of the text. What I've done is I've added a UDP and a TCP line, which allows the domain, the domain on ports 5060 through 5091, and this is the way it comes out, is saying, okay, here's what's been added. You will find those lines inside the IP tables. Now, last time when we quit, we hit no, and then this time we're going to hit yes to restart the failed ban, and then it's going to take however long it takes to restart. One of the things I like to do when once I restart fail to ban is go check status. And I always like to look at this right here. I'm looking for active running. That is a good sign that you've done everything correctly with your fail to ban jails, your fail to ban whitelisting, your jail.config. I've seen issues where someone had commas or incorrect IP addresses or had some other characters that did not belong in their jail.config file. And so this is just a good way to look and see, is it working, yes or no? And maybe that's something I should add to the end here to show that yes, it is active running. If it isn't, if something is incorrect and it's not running, which is dangerous for you, you do want to fail to ban running, then you would see this would be red text up here, and it would say something like stopped not running, or something like that. Now, hopefully that helps you understand how to use all of these items. One last comment, I suppose, is I've kept these separated to this degree just so you can have more control over things. Maybe at some point I do things more streamlined, or just hit a button and boom, it does everything. But my thought was that let's kind of sneak up on this and do it in pieces, be more methodical, and have the options available. So what we can do here is we can see that we've got a registrations.txt file, and there's the entire file, those 2 lines there, and then we can cat the ignore the text file. I've called it ignore ip.text file because that's the name of the line in the jail.config. Now, if you want, you can do just to give you, let's do a T, and then let's do backups. So this directory is also created when you do this whitelist script. If it's not created, it'll create it. And you can see all these files that I've done recently. I've cleared out a bunch of stuff that I'd done previously. But as you can see, I've run multiple times, and you can see just different parts of the process. It makes up a backup. If something goes wrong, or remember when we had the choice to say, does this look correct, yes or no, then it will say, whoa, there's something different. Let's go put the backup back as the file. It's the same thing for the, just for whichever process, I'm making up a backup. And if something goes wrong, we replace the existing file. So hopefully that helps.